You are addicted. Yes, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but this is simply the fact of the matter. Now, what exactly are you addicted to? Well, I'm sure you know what it is I'm referring to. Your parents mention it all the time. It's that dang phone. And understand that if you never overcome this addiction, then you are never going to be able to achieve your goals, right? You might get close, you might almost get there, but you're never going to get that desired result, that peak. You're never going to achieve it if you can't overcome this addiction. But before we find out how to overcome this, we first need to understand why the problem arises in the first place. Otherwise, we spend time trying to chase the solution to a symptom rather than solving the core of the problem. Now, what is the core of the problem? I'm so glad you asked that. It's a little thing called dopamine. I'm sure you've heard of it before. Dopamine. Now, dopamine is a reward chemical. It's the thing in your brain that makes you motivated. When you get dopamine from carrying out a specific action, you're going to do that action over and over again, right? And the way your phone works is that you get dopamine from doing things that are not productive, right? And it traps you in sort of this negative feedback loop where you scroll, you get dopamine, your brain's like, wow, that was very easy. I'm going to keep doing that, right? So to draw it out, right, you scroll, and when you're scrolling, you're going through those meme pages, right? Instagram Reels, the TikToks, the YouTube Shorts. Well, your brain's dopamine is spiking, right? So we'll draw a little up arrow. Right, dopamine spike. And what that ends up doing is it sends a signal to your brain that this is an action I should keep doing because my dopamine went up. So, keep doing. Right? Your brain's going to want to keep doing it, right? Which is going to inevitably cause you to scroll yet again. What we can see here is a loop. And if you notice about this loop, there's no productivity, there's no focused work, there's nothing that's going to make you successful going on here, right? And the reason this ends up being so bad is because when you carry out these constant actions of scrolling, what ends up happening is that your base level of dopamine increases, right? Well, we have dopamine being the y-axis, and down here, right? Well, no, we just have a y-axis, right? So this is dopamine, right? Now, the things that you want to do, the things that help you achieve your goals, they're going to be down here, right? And, these are things like reading, focused work, exercise, meditation, right? Things that level you up so that you're able to become the person who can achieve your goals. But when you're constantly scrolling, right, junk food, video games, anime, those things are up at this level. And as you keep carrying out the actions up here, eventually your baseline of dopamine is gonna, it's gonna end up here. Right, so now this is your baseline. Right, and the problem with that is, if you notice, the things that bring you progress, the things that make you successful, the things that bring you closer to that idealized version of yourself, they're all down here. And because it's below your baseline, you aren't going to want to drop below, and you aren't going to do those things. Right? You're going to keep going, until eventually even scrolling is too boring for you because now your dopamine level would be up here. And this is where you end up when that cycle repeats over an extended period of time. We do it so many times where now you have to scroll for hours upon hours upon hours on end just to get that hit, just to feel something. That's truly a terrible place to be in, right? Once you get there, it's very hard to get back to the point of success, a point where you're able to carry out these actions that bring you success. So the goal is we want to get from up here to down here, right? We want the dopamine level to be below these actions that bring us forward, that move us forward. And once we do, that's when your work, that's when being productive starts to seem fun. It starts to seem motivating. It starts to become something that you want to do rather than something that you dread or procrastinate on. The problem, however, is how do we get down here? How do we lower the dopamine to a point where you don't have to scroll anymore, where you're scrolling, your scroll time, it's non-existent. You're able to stay focused. You're able to stay locked in. You're able to get consistent progress towards these goals that you're trying to get to. Well, in order to do that, we're going to use a very beautiful tactic, a very beautiful concept that a lot of people like to run away from. In order to lower your dopamine, you're going to master a little something called boredom. Right? So, essentially, you have to make yourself bored, because through becoming boredom, right? Through becoming bored, rather, your dopamine is quite literally being forced to drop its level, right? Because when you're bored, you're in this state of, I have to do something. Right? And once you get in that state, we're going to add friction. We're going to master two things here, boredom and then friction. Right? When you combine these two, there's absolutely nothing that you won't be able to accomplish. So let's start with boredom. How exactly does one make themselves bored? It's actually very simple. I just want you to sit. You can even pause the video. I want you to sit, put your phone down, close the laptop, turn off the screen. And I want you to look at the nearest wall. I want you to do that for 30 seconds, and I want you to come back and tell me how you feel. Right? It's probably pretty boring, right? Now, let's say you've been staring at a wall for like 30 minutes. And you've got two options now, right? You can either keep staring at that wall, or you can get some work done. What would you rather do? Well, yeah, you probably want to get that work done, because now you by staring at that wall, by sitting there and putting your mind in a state of nothingness, you either can keep doing that and keep being bored, or you can stimulate your brain doing something that makes you productive, doing something that brings you forward, doing something that gets you one step closer to your goals, right? Now, we can get bored, but the problem is 9 times out of 10, when you get bored, you pick up your phone, you start scrolling, you click YouTube, you're in that rabbit hole, you're watching some 10-hour documentary ads about some obscure horror topic, right? You're not really getting much done, because it's too easy to access that distraction. It's too easy to pick up your phone, start scrolling. It's too easy to open Netflix and, watch the latest show, right? Which is why we want to make those things hard, right? We've got distractions over here. And then over here, I shouldn't have drew it right there. We got productivity. I'll just write PRO, right? So what we want to do, we want to make these things hard by increasing the friction. And we want to make these things easy we want to make these things hard by increasing friction, and these things easy by decreasing friction, right? And what is friction exactly? Friction is resistance. The more friction that you feel, the less likely you're going to do something. The less friction that you feel, the more likely you are going to do something, right? So what distractions? Your phone, your computer, right? All of these things that cause you to scroll, that cause you to waste time. We simply want to make these things as hard as possible. For your phone, there are a few things you can do. First, it's very simple. You just want to grayscale it. Right? Because when you're not seeing all these colors on your phone, you're going to be less likely to scroll. You're going to look at it and, wow, this isn't interesting. It's like watching a black and white film, right? Well, I guess those can be interesting. But essentially, by grayscaling your phone, you're going to make it less likely to scroll, because there's not as many colors. It's like, oh my goodness, there's so much going on. It's kind of pulling you in. When it's black and white, it's not going to, it's not going to be as likely to do that. Next is your notifications, right? The fact that you're always hearing the buzzer, ding, all these notification sounds, it's causing you to pick up that phone, to pick it up, get distracted, right? Right? Now, when you turn off all your notifications, like, oh no, what if somebody texts me? Oh, what if something important happens? When was the last time something life-changing, something, important, something happened? Exactly, right? It's not that often, right? So you're not going to die by turning your notifications off, right? When you turn them off, when you open your phone, you don't even want to see that notification screen. That way you just see your lock screen. You're like, oh, okay, there's nothing to check. I'm going to get back to work, right? There's the notifications off. Also, when you're trying to get in that productive state, when you are trying to get into that state where you're able to accomplish things, when you're getting in that focus state, that flow state where you can actually get some work done, so you can actually make some progress towards your goals, right? When you get in that state, You simply you don't even want to have your phone in the area. Let's put remove. See. Yes, you simply want to remove it from the area. Right, and once it's gone, it's not going to be an issue anymore, because if you can't see it, then you're not going to get distracted by it, right? Imagine you have this urge to scroll, but your phone is all the way across the house, and you're going to have to get up, you're going to walk. Oh my goodness, I got to go down my stairs. Oh, I got to open this cabinet. Now I got to grab it. Now I got to log into it, right? It's so many steps that you kind of just lose interest, right? So you're not going to do it, right? Now, these are some examples of ways that you can increase the friction of your distraction, right? But now we want to decrease the friction of productivity. What exactly does that look like? Well, let's imagine that you're trying to finish this essay, right? Your goal, you're trying to improve your grades. You got to finish this essay. Well, to decrease the friction that it would take to finish that essay, well, let's say you plan on doing it tomorrow. Well, the night before, let's say you open up that page already, have it set out on your computer, and you just have it ready to go. Right, and then you want to tell yourself when you wake up, when you get to do that essay, you're like, oh, I'm only going to write the first paragraph. I'm only going to write the first sentence, introductory line. I'm going to get up. I'm going to do something else, right? And once you sit down, once you actually start getting the work, once you actually start doing it, well, what's going to end up happening is you're going to get in that state of working. You're getting in that flow state of productivity, and you're going to keep working. You're going to keep finishing that essay, right? And as you do that, well, you're going to get a lot done, and you're going to be productive, right? You're simply tricking your brain into thinking the task is easy, right? So, easy, right? And you want to just plan it beforehand, right? Once you plan it out, once you've set it up beforehand, and you also trick your brain into making it easy, well, congratulations, the friction is so low that you're going to do it. Now, combining, dopamine with boredom and friction, well, what will end up happening is that you stop scrolling, you stop getting distracted, you stop wasting time doing things that don't matter, and you start spending time doing the things that do matter. And then you'll finally start making progress towards your goals. And it will no longer be that dang phone. It will be this great person, this great productive individual who's able to get a lot of things done. So, hopefully you found some value in this video, and hopefully you learned something new, and hopefully you've realized that, well, actually, my distractions weren't that difficult to overcome. I just needed to master some distractions and productivity, right? So, for those of you interested in learning the exact systems, the exact frameworks that I use to overcome my distractions and grow my socials to a pretty significant degree and make consistent progress towards my goals, well, click the first link in the description. Started this program that's helping guys like myself to, again, overcome those distractions and actually make genuine progress towards their goals. And other than that, click this video here if you want to learn something new, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.